Hey everyone, it is Stephanie here with Infernal TV, and I am here with James Rivera of Helstar. So how are you?
I'm doing wonderful.
Awesome. So now let's get in and talk about the new album, The Devil's Masquerade. I think with this album, like, because you've had a massive discography, or you have a massive discography, and I feel like this album is the more versatile. Like, every song sounds different. There are so many different unique elements that you brought to this album, and even your vocals. You've experimented a lot with your vocals compared to some of the past releases. So I guess discuss what your approach with this album and what all you did differently.
Well, one of the things we did differently is that me and the other original member we wrote pretty much the whole record this time. So it's back to the Berrigan Rivera combination of like what it used to be in the 80s. And that's why a lot of people say it has that vibe from Burning Star or Distant Thunder and this, but then it has the new vibe that when you guys revived yourself in 2006 with the later releases. I think that sometimes when we do these things, we don't want to do it too subconsciously, like we're thinking about it too much. It's just how we're feeling at the time. And I think that what we did different here was, yeah, we experimented a little bit more with things I never did before. Like there's three songs that are kind of choirish. They have choirish parts that would normally be on a Sabotage record or something. And I've never done stuff like that, but we wanted to just kind of make it a little more interesting this time, but yet make it a traditional Hellstar record. And I think that's what people are loving about this record is that God, it's so Hellstar, but with another level of atmosphere that that we can't explain. I can't either. So you know.
Nice. And there you go. That's actually is the perfect explanation. And I do want to go back to how you and Larry went back to being the main songwriters. And as you mentioned with some of the more old school vibes, you can definitely hear that. But I want to ask how, the other band members contributed. And I know in past interviews you said like Alan, he did his solos, he did his stuff, but also with the rhythm section, was it like, like maybe a cool drum fill here or a bass line here? Was there anything else during that collaborative process?
Yeah, I mean, once Larry creates the main riff of the song and then the vocal ideas are put on, Garrick still does his own bass stuff. I mean, Larry will send a rough draft of what the bass, so that it's just to show where the parts are.
Mm-hmm.
But still, Mikey and Garrick, they're very responsible for their own magic that they throw into the songs. And Garrick actually wrote one of the songs on this new record, which is amazing.
Nice.
And it's very weird how it reminds us so much of the Barca days because I don't know what it is about these bass players, but they just seem to be able to write epic songs with all this orchestration and everything. And so Carcass for a King, that's Garrick's baby.
Oh, nice. That is really
Yeah.
cool. And now, I mean, I know everybody is talking about this song, including me now, but I Am the Way is by far my favorite song on the album. And you have, I mean, an amazing ensemble of singers on this song, but the one thing I guess that stood out is how they're all based in Texas. I mean, you have
Yeah.
very different singers on this song, and they all contribute their own magic, but the fact that they're all from Texas, was that more for convenience or was that for you to kind of push like, hey, this is the scene we have going on here?
It was to really show the real old school Texas metal uh, stars that are still out there right now. And the idea came, I've been wanting to do this for years. So what it was when Dio did We're Stars with that, that for the hearing aid stuff and all that. And he got all those singers and guitar players. And ooh, we figured, well, we don't want to write a 20-minute song, so we're just going to stick to singers. And and I've been friends with all these guys since the beginning of time. And really, at the end of the day, what a lot of people, someone like you knows this probably very thoroughly. When you use the term Texas metal, what they're referring to is Helstar, San Antonio Slayer, Watchtower, Solitude Aeturnus, those bands that we all sort of erupted in the early 80s. And some people will be like, "Oh, well, yeah, dude, Pantera." Like they're not considered the Texas metal circle, although yes, we love the guys. We were friends with all of them. So, but it was more to refer to what really put Texas on the map of the world for heavy metal. And
Okay.
we were the first band ever to become internationally known in 1984. And then I think Solitude followed, and then San Antonio Slayer had an EP, but we were the first band to ever get a real record deal and, the real thing. And so, yeah, it was my way of showing off my buddies, kind of, saying, hey, I'm proud of my boys that we're still doing it after 40 years. And yeah, we've been doing this since the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, man, so why not let them shine?
Nice.
Like I'm proud of my boys.
Nice, that's awesome. And now, one thing I find interesting about Hellstar is how Larry does all of the recording and the mixing. So how does that benefit you and like during the writing and recording process?
Well, then we have the convenience of doing things over again if we don't like it. It's also a lot less expensive than going to a studio, and everybody's doing that these days. So, and it's the convenience of being at his house. So sometimes I would go and spend the, consecutive nights because well, obviously you came to Houston, it's bigger than the whole country of the Netherlands. So the part of Houston he lives in compared to where I live in is a good hour.
Mm-hmm.
With traffic, make it an hour and a half. I can make it to Austin quicker than I can to his house sometimes. So that's how spread out we are.
Mm-hmm.
And but the convenience is that you can take stuff home, listen to it again, and go, I think I should have used these notes instead. I'll get on the phone with him, and he goes, "So what do you think?" And it's weird how I guess because we've been together for so long, 43 years, we know each other like a book. And
Mm-hmm.
so I go, I was thinking I should have did this here instead. He goes, was thinking the same thing. So, so we have that luxury of being able to go back and fix things and to where we're happy. Because one things that we always remembered is back in the day, whatever label we were on, Combat, Metal Blade, AFM, it doesn't matter. They give you a budget, you have so much to go and do this record, and it's if you're lucky, sometimes you had 4 weeks, sometimes you had two, sometimes you had three. It's depended, but it had to be done
Mm-hmm.
because there's no more money. And a lot of times when it comes to some of the albums previously to this one, there are things that I'm not happy with 100%. That oh God, I should have did this, or oh, that note, it could have been more clean and higher, and those things bother to the listener. They don't know because they don't know what you had in your head when you were recording it. They're like, "Oh, that's great. That sounds great, dude." I'm like, "No, there's parts in there, yeah, a little poop going on in there. But yeah, so and then you got to live with those things.
Mm-hmm.
So the other advantage is now we can perfect it to where I'm happy, he's happy, the band's happy, and when you can sit in your car, and I haven't stopped listening to it, I actually really enjoy our own record.
That's
And I
awesome.
never done that. I mean, yeah, for the first week or two, you're like, okay, it's done, it's fine. Then after that, you're like, it gets cobwebs. Or like, oh, I guess I have to listen to it because I got to learn some songs for the set list. But
Mm-hmm.
this is the first album in a long time that I enjoy listening to as a fan besides the artist, if that makes sense.
That's awesome. And there was some, and I had another question in mind when you were talking about, I guess back in the day when you would go to a studio, because the one thing about going to the studio and working with an engineer is they're essentially a third party, but they're working so closely with the bands they, come up with I don't know, maybe change this part or do this differently or try this. Like they, put in their own 2 cents. And, as I said, they're like the third party, so they're kind of unbiased to the material. I guess with you handling your own recording and production, do you feel like you lose that, that other like third person, kind of in the mix?
Yes and no. I do miss working with certain producers that we have worked with for several albums, like for example, Bill Matoyer. Uh, his opinion was always very important. Others we worked with, they had some good ideas, and then some you work with, and you feel like they're throwing a wrench into things because you're like, you don't know what we're trying to convey here. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't care what you're trying to convey, but you really should do this, and it's well because that's what you want. It's not
Mm-hmm.
what our soul wants to listen to for the rest of our lives. You got to think about it. When you're done with a record, and that record is done, and it's in your little treasure chest or on your wall or whatever, it's for the rest of your life. And
Mm-hmm.
the last thing you want to do is when you're you got records on your wall and it's time to clean the music room and you're dusting the the frames and then you're to go to that one like I'm gonna leave you dirty because I don't like you. Yeah, it's the one that you're like, oh yeah, see when that's the one that I wish I'd have did this different or whatever.
Mm-hmm. That's a good analogy, the dusting, and it's like, I'm gonna leave that one.
Dirty, yeah. I don't want to see it anymore. I hope it gets covered with film, yeah.
Now let's go to lyrics. So I saw this in a past interview, or I should say, a recent interview you did. Because obviously Hellstar is known for, especially the vampire theme. That's been a reoccurring theme since the Nosferatu album. But I saw in another recent interview that you focus on other horror themes, and I know you mentioned possession. But obviously there are vampire songs on this album too.
Oh
So.
yeah, yeah.
Why did you branch off like a little bit from the vampire thing?
Well, because in all honesty, when we started writing this new record, I mean, before the previous guitar player left, there was kind of a little bit of a indication that like, yeah, maybe the vampire thing's getting old, and I said, it'll never get old, dude. Vampires are always going to be around.
I
It's a
agree with
popular
that.
site. I mean, think about it. They're actually more popular than they ever were. So that's never going to
Nice.
get old. And so that what's weird about that is that they never die. Well, it kind of goes hand in hand. I mean, there's just more and more vampire stuff coming out all the
Oh
time.
yeah.
So me picking that character fits me perfectly. But I said, no, but in all fairness, that's true. I don't think it's fair for me to force everybody to, lyrically, everything has to be about a vampire. So we decided to spread it out. And Larry likes a lot of different movies, and so do I. And so we actually started picking different subjects that still are horrifying.
Hmm.
And at the same time, it blends in with what we're doing musically. And that's why we branched out. And basically at the end of the day, the title, I can tell you about that later if that's a question you have, but the title came in perfectly for those reasons as well.
We can talk about the title because I know you said that you were talking about that in a past interview, but feel free to discuss that now.
Well, what it is when you think about it, you got, of course, me, I'm always going to write about vampires. But on this album, I actually wrote lyrics to, shoot, I can't remember now. Um, Me and Larry, but we both collaborated on Staff of Truth, and I wrote the lyrics to The Haunted Mirror. And those songs the Staff of Truth is about a Twilight Zone episode when this guy lets the devil free. One of the old ones. I don't know if you ever saw it, but
I
it's
think
really
that one
cool.
sounds, I love the Twilight Zone, so, but I think I did see that one.
Yeah, it's where he's wandering in the cold and the rain and the storm, and he happens to come across a monastery, and he knocks on the door and he begs them to let him in because he's starving, he's cold, he's wet, and they're like, "No, we can't let you in," and then they finally do, and they're a bunch of old monks, and then they said, "We'll feed you this, but then first thing in the morning you must go," and then he hears this, "Oh." what was that? He goes, don't you mind that, and so they warned him not to go down there. Anyways, it turns out, long story short, it's the devil in a cage.
Hmm.
And he's very good looking, he's not like the horns and all that, and he's saying, help me, man. They're keeping me here a prisoner. They're starving me. They're beating me, this and that. And
Yep,
so
I remember that one. I've seen
remember
it
that one?
before.
So he lets
Yep.
him loose, and it turns out it's the devil. You
Hmm.
have no idea what you did. So he has to spend the rest of his life hunting him down, and he finally catches him, and then he has him in his closet again. So that's how the story ends.
Hmm.
So, but the little thing that held the devil in the cage was no bigger than a toothbrush. It was called a staff of truth, but it was a blessed thing, and he removed it.
Hmm.
So that was a very cool story to get involved in, and then the haunted mirror is just simply about the fear of dying when really I think sometimes not to make myself feel better. I mean, I'm not looking forward to dying. I think nobody is, but I really think that that's our peace. I don't think there's a heaven and a hell. I think that, hey, you lived your life, you did all the suffering here. Now it's time to relax.
No.
But when you're at that point when you're dying, you're scared. And so you're looking into the haunted mirror. That's why I'm saying don't be afraid. It's actually going to be cool. So that's what that's about. And then two songs about possession. The Devil's Masquerade is about Annabelle. And then we have Seek Out Your Sins, which is about the exorcist Pope, about the true story of the real boy that got possessed, and on and on and on. And when you start throwing this all together, what perfect title? The Devil's
Exactly.
Masquerade.
That is awesome. All right. So let's talk about well, let's go into the live shows. Now I saw you guys at Hell's Heroes this year. It's the first time I've seen you guys live. And I mean, you were excellent. I loved your set.
Thank you.
And I appreciate, well, this is long before the album came out, so I appreciate you playing a lot of the new songs.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah, we did actually. Yeah.
yeah, and but I mean, of course, Alan to me was one of the standout parts of your performance because not only is he a killer guitar player, but he has so much energy and he was shredding like crazy and still running around the stage and headbanging and doing these guitar tricks and stuff. So, and
Yeah.
I know he's been a topic in some of the recent interviews you've done, because he's like the new guy, he's younger, yada yada, but. Do you feel like he challenges you? Like when you're playing live and you're like, oh shit, gotta step it up a little bit.
Well, he brings that energy that makes us pull out the energy we know we already have. So he actually soothes us. Like, oh, it's not like an intimidation thing. It's like, well, now I can really go crazy too. I mean, because sometimes you get comfortable and you're like, oh, okay, another show and all that. But he brings out things that makes me now hit higher notes, live, just on purpose. And then we both at the end of the show, we're all hanging out, having drinks, and we hug each other. And I've known him since he was an infant.
Oh,
His nickname is Mijo, actually. So, if you're Hispanic, you know what that means, like my son. So yeah, I mean, so he brings in an energy that brings it all out of us more than we've been stowing aside.
mhm.
And Larry just loves him to death, you
Oh,
know. So
I did see one of the interviews you were talking about because I guess you're friends with his father and you remember him as a little baby and now he's in your bands. I
yeah,
thought
I
that
know,
was
isn't that
cute.
crazy?
I thought that was cute. But yeah, so you have some really cool shows coming up. You have a few Texas shows, you have a Europe tour. So do you want to discuss those?
Yeah, this Saturday we so far what we've done is we did New York City, we did the festival up there in Brooklyn, and that was amazing. And then as far as then we went and did El Paso, Texas. Now we're doing Austin this Saturday, as a matter of fact. And it'll be the first time that a lot of the Texas cities get to see the band promoting the new record.
Nice.
And then the following Friday, we do a show with Crimson Glory in San Antonio. And then we have nothing in November but heavy rehearsing. And then I leave on the weekend before Thanksgiving. And then the tour starts the day right after Thanksgiving. So we'll be spending Thanksgiving in Greece. That's where the tour starts. So
Oh,
it starts in, yeah, so we won't have any turkey, but we'll have big gyros.
I was going to say Greek food is one of my favorite cuisines, so
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'd be picking out on Greek food.
I can do without the turkey for 1 year. Come on, yeah, I'd rather have some Greek food.
I know, right?
And yeah, so it starts in Greece, and then we hit the mainland part of Europe, which is, of course, Belgium, Germany, Slovenia, Italy, Slala, la la la. And then we fly to Spain, and we do 4 shows in Spain, and then we come home from there. And
Nice.
we're home in time for Christmas with, yeah, all the little European presents for everybody.
That's awesome. I mean, hey, that's a good, way to do for your Christmas shopping, right?
Yeah, get it done over there because you can bring something home unique. You go, well, you can't find this on Amazon.
Right, exactly. So let's go into next year. Do you have any plans? Anything set in stone yet?
Not really. I mean, we're just looking into a couple of things. I mean, usually every year around Hell's Heroes, I don't know if this year that's going to happen, whether it's on the main thing or the pre-party or an after show, but the promoter always tries to put us in there because of the fact that we are a staple here in Houston. And I think by now most people that come to Hell's Heroes, I don't think that there's that reaction of like those guys again. I think it's more like, oh yeah, you gotta have them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's not like yeah, it's a yearly thing where like let me think of like one of my worst monkeys on my back. Like, I like fried chicken. So I probably have it once a year. So I think we're like the fried chicken of Hell's Heroes. It's like,
That's a
yeah, I
good
can go for
analogy.
some of that fried chicken. I know it's not good for me, but yeah, but and the fans expect it. Matter of fact, I just had some guy writing me already today. Hey, are you guys going to be on there? What's going on? And I'm like, I mean, don't come just because we're on it every year. I mean, we may not 1 year, I don't know. I'm sure I'll be there, and hanging out and whatever, but yeah, there hasn't been anything mentioned yet because he was trying to promote a homecoming show for us when we get back from Europe because we haven't even done our own hometown yet with the
Oh,
new record.
wow.
But we think we have a date on December 20th.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
Yes, we will finally get to do Houston because everybody's crying here. You played everywhere else but here. What about your family here? What about? I'm like, we'll get around to it. Don't worry.
That's funny. Yeah, I did see Hell's Heroes. They just announced the pre-fest lineup, and I looked for you guys, so maybe the
Yeah,
after party.
maybe. Yeah, or he may have something up his sleeve. Who knows? He's a great guy though, so he's awesome. And he's actually on the I Am the Way.
He is, yes. Christian, right?
Yep,
That's
he
his name.
sure is.
Yes, I did. I remember seeing his name, and I'm like, I think that's the guy in Necrofier.
Yes, and
Yep.
I purposely wrote his part for him to do the Necrofier voice. Because
Nice.
I've got enough. Yeah, yeah. I have enough of those, but his part just sticks out like a sore thumb. And it's perfect. And it's beautiful. I love it.
That's awesome. So, this is the last question. Feel free to say anything. You can thank the fans. You can talk about horror movies some more. It's whatever you want.
Okay. Well, hey, I do want to thank all the fans, worldwide, especially here in the US, because we all thought that metal was dead here, but it really isn't. It's actually doing pretty damn well, if you ask me. And I think that unfortunately for another 20 years, we're gonna have to keep doing this. Good thing I'm a vampire, so I don't age. I don't know about the rest of the guys. So, yeah. But it's kind of strange how the resurgence of metal came back in 2000, but now it's just blowing up. And then there's younger bands coming out, and they sound like old school metal bands, and it's a beautiful thing. And now when you go to a show, you still have all those loyal people that are my age, 6,000 years old. But other than that, you see that what it is they bring their kids now. Their
Oh.
kids or teenagers are in their 20s and they
Mhm.
got the long hair and they got the Iron Maiden shirt and they've got the denim jacket with the patches on it and all that. And it's just starting all over again.
Right.
So I just love the fact that what we do reaches out to people to that extent to where I think that what it is kids today are getting tired of the corporate bullshit being crammed down their throat and going, wait a minute, that's not even real music. It's not even real singing. And now they want to learn how to play. So by the time they're like Alon, they're like Yngwie Malmsteen on steroids at 24 years old, you know?
Right.
It's
It's
crazy.
incredible how this, even younger than me, that generation is just, they're all mind-blowing musicians. Alan is the perfect
Yeah, it's
example.
great, you know, and yeah, and as far as my horror movie stuff, I mean, it's been mine and Larry's passion for years, and of course, Dracula and vampires is my favorite. If I could be one, I would, but you know, I know that's not realistic in a way, but I live a life like one, so you know,
There you
I
go.
can pretend. And so, yeah, I always have these jokes, and people love it because I'm like, yes, I stopped biting people at 3 in the morning going through McDonald's and rallies and stuff like that because the stuff is so bad. I fart in my coffin. I can't even stand it myself, you know. So now I wait in the Whole Foods parking lot for healthy people. Yeah. So,
Oh my
but you
God,
know,
that's
yeah,
awesome.
vampirism is something that's very interesting and I do believe that they probably really did exist, but not the way that it's personified in a movie. But there are true stories about certain things that are pretty creepy, you know.
Hmm.
And they actually really did start in Eastern Europe. There's the one story about the one guy who they village was getting they were getting drained of blood. They don't know what it was, but then this guy died and then when they went, they blamed it on him. Or they somehow they connected the dots and said it had to be something to do with him. But when they dig him up, he wasn't in his grave anymore. So
Oh,
that's interesting, and it's a true
hmm.
story. So
Yeah.
that's kind of creepy, you know, in a way. So yeah, but other than that, and of course, Hollywood has turned it into God, so many different versions of a vampire, this and that. But when it comes down to it, man, horror film, Christopher Lee is God, you know, or I should say the ungod of yeah, he is the master. That was the best Dracula to me ever, you
I
know.
mean, my favorite vampire film is the 1920s Nosferatu, the silent
Oh
film.
yeah.
Yeah, but I also love some of the older ones that came out like back in the 70s, like Satanic Rites of Dracula,
Yeah, that's
like
Christopher
that.
Lee, right.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
of
Oh
course
yeah. See, there you go.
the silent one was amazing, you know. And the
Hmm.
remake was okay. I didn't
It
it
was more
was
of a gothic film. It wasn't really horror.
no,
Yeah.
and kind of romantic in a way too, you know. So I was like, oh, you know, that's kind of weird, but
But I think I
you
went
know.
in, me personally, knowing that this was going to be different. So to me, it was more reminiscent of like the 1970s Nosferatu.
Yeah, I mean, is there's no way you're going to go back to capture what they did in 1920, even though it was silent, it still was cool.
It's like one of the scariest films I've ever seen in my whole life. To this day, it freaks
Yeah,
me out.
yeah. You imagine some guy bald headed with ears like that walking into your bedroom at night. And then the weird part is he had the rabbit teeth fangs. That was the cool part.
Right. But I think that's creepier though, rather
I
than
think
the
so
little
too.
fangs. It's just these things just hanging down.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Like it looks
Yeah,
like a
they're
cat.
lethal.
Yeah, they're lethal.
Thank you everybody for watching this interview. The Devil's Masquerade is out. Check it out if you haven't listened to it yet. Helstar is doing some awesome touring. They're going to be touring in Europe. They have some shows in Texas, and I'm sure they will be busy next year. So stay updated on everything they're doing. And thank you for watching. Stay metal, everyone.
Yep, you too. Bye. I moved to Tampa for a while
I
and
didn't
I
know
met a
that.
bunch of great people and I did projects with the uh, George and all those guys from Cannibal and you know
Oh,
and
nice.
I was kind of a commodity because you know it's the death capital of the world
Hmm.
and old school guy like me comes into town and they're like but when you hang out with these guys you find out that their favorite music is old school metal.
Oh,
They just got
absolutely.
smart, and in the 90s they created death metal, so because old school metal was dead. So
Right. And there's so
right.
many times, like you mentioned, George, we'd be at the bar after whatever show, and Merciful Fate would be playing, and he's singing at the top of his lungs.
Oh
And
yeah. And he can sing Journey, which is really crazy.
Yeah, he's a super talented guy. Most people don't know he actually can sing like clean vocals really well, not just the grunts.
Yeah. Yeah, me and Jack Owen and Paul Mazurkowitz, we did a project, and then Jack Owen and I did a Iron Maiden tribute. And it was fun. It was a great 2 years. But I guess what happened is I just thought, man, from one bad hair city to another, I may as well just go home where it's cheaper.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Yeah.